Well, I started about 15 years ago as a comic. I've been an actor for about 20 years. And started in Los Angeles, California. And I became a paid regular at the Comedy Store in Hollywood. I started a comedy tour after September 11th called the Axis of Evil Comedy Tour with a couple other Middle Eastern comedians. And we started touring around the US, and we started going overseas to the Middle East, and that eventually carried on to other countries internationally, South Africa, the UK, Australia, where else did we go? Went to Amsterdam, a lot of cities in the US we performed in, and did some stuff as an actor. Stints here and there, small parts in movies and TV shows. I played Terrorist number 4 in Iron Man. Had a small part in the Zohan movie with Adam Sandler. And I did a guest starring role in the Tracy Ullman Show and Roseanne. And then just little bit parts here and there, mostly trying to focus on the comedy.
You always know you would be a comedian?
Yeah, you know, I always liked, comedy is universal, you know, everybody loves to laugh. I think what happened with me was I started getting typecast a lot as an actor to play certain roles, specific roles. The Arab terrorist, or the cab driver. And I just kind of got fed up with it. I always knew I had a decent sense of humor that I could get away with getting a chuckle here and there. So I kind of got into comedy by default, really. I quit acting, went back to waiting tables at a restaurant because I ran out of money. I was sleeping on a friend's couch, and at one point, while I was waiting tables, the restaurant I was working in didn't serve the best food, so I was forced to make my customers laugh in order to get good tips. And so that's what sort of launched me into comedy. It was an accident.
Are you happy with your choice?
Yeah, you know, I feel blessed. We comedians, we live very dysfunctional lives. You know, from what people would gather from the outside. But from the inside looking out, I think our lives are really normal. We get to travel around the world and get paid to make people laugh. So it's a pretty decent job, I'd say.
Have you got a family? Or?
Mother and father. I'm not married.
Okay, so that's not a problem with traveling.
Yeah, I mean, no kids that I know of, and yeah, I mean, most comedians that have families or that are married have found a way to adjust and blend the two together. But I've always found it a bit difficult.
Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
Double espresso?
Espresso, please. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Look at this fancy cup.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I'm bringing the sugar and the water.
Thank you, sir. So, yeah, I enjoy my job. I'm gonna continue to do comedy, but I'm also gonna eventually pull back a little bit and do more writing, producing, I think, and directing.
Of comedy or just generally?
Probably just general. I mean, I directed my first documentary this year. It's a documentary film called Just Like Us. It's a 5-country tour we did around the Middle East. And the whole concept of the tour was to show that Arabs have a sense of humor just like us. Thank you.
So water?
What was the reception like comedy-wise in the Middle East?
It's huge. Stand-up comedy has really taken off over there. And I don't think anyone would have ever predicted it. Because the Arabs are known to not have a sense of humor, and Muslims are known not to laugh. And what we did was we just kind of flipped everything on its head and proved that, Arabs do have a sense of humor and Muslims do have a sense of humor. But unfortunately in the West, we've been depicted as these desert, heathens or mongrels that are wielding swords and riding camels and screaming in the name of Allah and all that stuff, and it's not true. So the documentary was a sort of stamp of approval to show that we do indeed have a sense of humor, can poke fun at ourselves. There's still limitations, there's still censorship, there's still things that we're not allowed to talk about, but that's only because comedy's only 2 years old over there.
Are there a lot of comedians there at the moment?
They're rising, yeah. Yeah, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, Bahrain has a comedy scene. Where else did we go? Kuwait. Maybe Lebanon.
And then, as far as comedy in South Africa, have your responses been as compared with...
Extraordinary. More accepting than I thought. Because I thought, okay, they're gonna get it. You know, when I got to Joburg, we were doing shows in front of 2,000 people, and I was going on last every night. So they had already seen 2.5 hours of comedy plus an intermission. So I was like, they're not even gonna laugh when I get up on stage. And I think my first joke out of the gate was, I said, how you doing, South Africa? My name's Ahmed Ahmed, and I'm from the Middle East. Typical, they put the Arab guy on last, just to make sure everybody gets their stuff out of the way in case something goes wrong. You know, something like that. I can't remember what I said exactly, but that I got a huge laugh. And I thought, okay, this is gonna be, easy, I think. And sure enough, we did 9 shows back to back, and they really, really appreciate it here. I think South Africa is one of those countries where humor is a big necessity. And South Africans have a good sense of humor, like the Australians or Scots. When I went to Scotland, they had a great sense of humor. When I went to Australia, they had a great sense of humor. It seems that countries that are politically educated and up on trends and pop culture seem to get the humor a lot more better than, say, in the West, where they're more spoiled. Because there's so much comedy in the West. There's so many stand-up comedians. There's thousands of stand-up comedians. In South Africa, there's maybe 50. So when things are in demand, then you seem to get more of a bigger, better response, I think.
I think South Africans as well, because South Africans have had a hard time. The way to get through it is to laugh at stuff, and when something bad happens, within 5 minutes you've got jokes.
Yeah. Well, also too, with the apartheid and the mixed culture, and I've never been anywhere in the world where I've seen more mixed race. There's so many mixed races here. It's incredible. I lived in New York City for a while. That's a very multicultural city. South Africa is that, times 10. So it's impressive. Yeah, no, I was very, very pleased and surprised to see that people are very open-minded to the type of humor that we're doing. Especially me, I'm talking about being from the Middle East and Muslim. So a lot of people are like, well, what's so funny about that? And the thing is there's nothing funny about it. That's what's so funny. It's almost like a paradox, it's a contradiction, the old saying, there's nothing funny about comedy. So I'm talking about stuff that people normally wouldn't laugh at, but I'm doing it in such a way and with a perspective that I think is fresh on the ear, and I try to keep it lighthearted and hopefully that translates here in Cape Town.